Hey everyone, welcome. Get comfortable, and let's get into tonight's Reddit stories. Imagine flying a friend across the world, paying for their flights and hotels so they can be at your big day. And then they just don't show up to the wedding and use the whole trip as their own private honeymoon instead. Would you let it go, or would you take them to court? Would I be the asshole for suing my friend when she didn't come to my wedding? I'm a 25-year-old woman, and I recently married my 25-year-old husband in Bali, Indonesia this past January. It was a destination wedding. Our parents paid for their own plane tickets and hotels, but we covered the plane tickets and hotel stays for our friends. Each plane ticket was about $2,000, and the hotel was maybe around $150 to $300 for the week. My friend Gemma brought her newlywed husband John along, but she paid for his plane ticket herself. The problem is, Gemma and John did not show up to my wedding. Gemma took the free plane ticket to Bali in the hotel room, and when I asked her why she didn't show up, she said that since they couldn't afford their own honeymoon, this was the perfect opportunity, and that John decided he just didn't feel like going. I was really hurt by this, since Gemma and I have been friends for over 10 years. Would I be the asshole if I took her to small claims court for the money I spent on her plane ticket and hotel? Update. I messaged Gemma because a lot of comments told me to invoice her for the plane ticket and hotel room, but I did something a little better. I wanted to get proof so that if I had to go to court, it would be easier to win. I messaged her this. Hey, sorry for being so distant, but I just wanted to talk to you about Bali. I'm hurt that you didn't show up to the ceremony. I pulled a lot of strings to ensure that you could come, and then you didn't show up. Did you think I paid for the trip just so you could honeymoon with John? She replied, I've missed you a lot, and I know the trip was for your wedding. But John didn't want to go because he felt like your wedding ruined the illusion of the trip being our honeymoon, and that you'd understand. I replied, No, I don't understand. You took advantage of me, and that's not what real friends do. So I'm invoicing you $2,387.53 for the cost of the plane ticket and hotel room. I will give you 30 days, and after that, I will be taking legal action. I haven't gotten a response, but she's been posting vague quotes on Instagram about entitled friends and having snakes in your life. Thank you all for your verdicts and help. The top commenters overwhelmingly felt that the friend's behavior was totally out of line. They pointed out that being flown to Bali with the hotel covered, just in exchange for attending one wedding ceremony, is an incredible gift. To accept that and then simply not show up and turn it into a private honeymoon instead was described as a huge breach of basic decency. Several people said that if Gemma and her husband wanted to treat the trip as a honeymoon, they could have at least attended the wedding and then extended their stay on their own dime. However, some commenters drew a line between what's morally wrong and what's actually possible legally. One highly upvoted response said that while OP wasn't in the wrong, a court case might not go anywhere, because on paper the flights and hotel look like a gift. Without a clear agreement or contract saying you must attend the wedding, it could be hard to win that money back in small claims court. Others suggested a more practical first step. Send an itemized bill. A number of people recommended invoicing Gemma for the exact cost of the airfare and hotel, and including copies of the receipts. Their thinking was that confronting her with the concrete numbers might either guilt her into paying something back, or at least create a paper trail if OP decided to move forward with legal action later. What do you think? Is invoicing and potentially suing a fair response here? Or is that going too far even after what happened? If your friend turned your wedding trip into their personal honeymoon and skipped your ceremony, how would you handle it? Let me know your verdict in the comments. A couple opens their home to a longtime friend, gives her a private room, her own bathroom, free food, and full access to everything. And suddenly, their own bedroom life becomes a problem. When a guest starts complaining about what she hears at night, how far does hospitality really have to go? Am I the asshole for telling our roommate she might need to move out if she keeps complaining about hearing us at night? My boyfriend and I let a friend he's known since childhood stay at our place because housing is expensive and her university is nearby. She stays with us 5 days a week and then goes back home on weekends. We don't charge her any rent, and we pay for all the utilities and groceries while she's here. She has her own bathroom and full access to basically everything in the house, like the kitchen, the pool, the sauna, all of it. Her bedroom isn't right next to ours. Between our bedroom and her room, there's a computer or workroom, and her bathroom is also in between. So there is some space separating us. A few months ago, she told us she could hear us being intimate at night and that it made her uncomfortable. We told her we'd try to be quieter when she's around. Since then, she's brought it up multiple times. Recently, she asked if she could switch rooms. The only rooms we could realistically swap would be the one my 7-year-old sister uses when she sleeps over, or my hobby room. All the other rooms are already set up permanently. We don't want to rearrange our home over this, especially since our whole intention was just to help her out. After her latest complaint, I told her calmly but firmly that we've adjusted as much as we think is fair. I said that if this is going to keep being an issue, then maybe this living situation just isn't a good fit, and she might need to find another place to stay. She thinks I'm being unfair. Am I the asshole? The top commenters are really focusing on the fact that this roommate is getting a pretty incredible deal. Free housing 5 days a week, free utilities, free groceries, her own bedroom and bathroom, plus access to luxuries like a pool and a sauna. A lot of people say that, yeah, overhearing intimacy can be awkward, but for that level of comfort at zero cost, most folks would just grab some noise-canceling headphones and keep quiet. Another popular take goes straight to the main point. If you're not paying rent and your hosts are covering all the bills and the food, you don't really get to dictate how they live in their own home. Commenters say the couple already compromised by trying to be quieter, and if the friend still doesn't like it, she's free to move somewhere else. A lot of people think the original poster has actually been more patient than they themselves would be in the same situation. And when the roommate asked to switch rooms, many commenters saw that as overstepping. One of the top replies jokes that yes, she absolutely should switch rooms, just not inside the house. Their suggestion is that she should switch to a room outside the home entirely and find a new place to stay. The general consensus in the comments is firmly on the side of the hosts. What do you think? If someone is staying with you rent-free, do they get any say in what happens behind your closed bedroom door? Would you rearrange rooms for them, or tell them this setup isn't a fit? Drop your verdict in the comments. Imagine your sober ride insists on dragging you out of the club for your own good, and then dumps you at some random gas station so she can go see her boyfriend. Do you just suck it up and pay to get home, or send her the bill? Am I the asshole for making my friend pay for my Uber home after she surprised me? I went out last night with some friends, and one of them, let's call her Sarah, offered to drive since she doesn't drink and said she'd stay sober. Cool, sounded good to me. Everything was fine until around 1 in the morning, when she suddenly says she's too tired and wants to leave. I told her I was fine staying and that I'd just Uber home later, but she kept insisting that she felt responsible for me and wouldn't leave without me. It honestly turned into a whole thing, and I didn't feel like arguing in the middle of the club, so I just went with her. Then, once we get to the car, she goes, "Actually, I'm gonna go to my boyfriend's place, it's closer." His place is like 20 minutes in the opposite direction from mine. She drives there, pulls into a gas station near his house and tells me to just call a ride from there. The Uber back to my place was $25 because of surge pricing. If she had just left me at the club like I originally said, I would have paid for my own Uber and not cared. But she basically forced me to leave because she felt responsible for me and then dropped me off halfway so she could go see her boyfriend. So yeah, I sent her a $25 Venmo request. Now she's mad, saying I'm ungrateful because she already gave me a ride, and my other friends think I'm being petty over $25. I don't know, it's not even really about the money. It just feels weird to drag someone out and then leave them at a gas station. Am I the asshole? Top commenters are pretty unified on this one. The most upvoted response points out the obvious contradiction. Sarah claimed she felt responsible for OP at the club, but somehow that responsibility disappeared the moment she decided to leave OP alone at a gas station. As that commenter put it, the math just isn't mathing. Another highly upvoted comment says that if Sarah truly felt responsible, she would have either let OP stay and Uber from the club like they wanted, or at the very least driven OP all the way home before heading to her boyfriend's. Dragging someone out, then abandoning them halfway, doesn't line up with being a good friend or a responsible designated driver. And a third commenter sums up the whole situation as just super bizarre behavior from Sarah. Offering a sober ride, forcing OP to leave early, then acting offended when asked to cover the Uber she effectively caused. What do you think? If a friend insists on taking you home for your own safety, then drops you at a gas station and goes to their partner's place, are you wrong for charging them for the ride home? Let me know your verdict in the comments. Who's the real asshole here? Imagine you finally find time to hit the gym, and the one machine you actually need is taken by someone just sitting on it and refusing to move. What would you do? Wait it out? Get a staff member, or confront them directly? Today's story is about a treadmill, a teenager, and a very defensive mom. Am I the asshole for expecting a girl to get off a treadmill in the gym? The gym I go to doesn't have many treadmills, and I've recently started running. I went to the gym with my partner last night, and when we got there, all the treadmills were in use. So I decided to start with some weight machines first, and then I went back later to check the treadmills again. I noticed there was a girl just sitting on one of the treadmills while her friend was actually using the treadmill next to her. She'd been there for at least 15 minutes, not using it, so I went up and asked if she was planning to use it. She said she was with her friend, but I told her she could sit next to her friend's machine instead of taking up a machine from people who actually wanted to use it. She just shrugged and refused to move. Then a woman came over and asked what was going on, so I explained the situation. She said she was the girl's mother and that I shouldn't be telling her daughter to move. I told her that her daughter shouldn't be taking up machines she had no intention of using. The mother said her daughter was free to sit there if she wanted and that she was doing nothing wrong. I replied that I could see where her daughter gets her entitlement from. She said I was out of order for commenting on her parenting, but I told her she should be a better parent if she couldn't handle any criticism. A member of staff came over, and when I explained what was going on, they asked the daughter to move off the treadmill or leave the gym. My girlfriend said maybe I shouldn't have argued with the mother, but I don't see how I've done anything wrong. Am I the asshole for asking a girl to get off a treadmill in the gym and then arguing with her mother? One person points out that the original poster's request was reasonable. But next time, it might be easier to just go straight to a gym attendant instead of getting into it with another member. Another commenter notes that the staff's reaction, telling the girl to either get off the treadmill or leave, shows exactly how the gym views this. It's a place to work out, not a social hangout where someone can occupy equipment they're not using. And a lot of people agree that the original poster started politely. and that things only escalated because the girl and her mother reacted with what commenters see as an unjustified sense of entitlement. What do you think? Was the original poster justified in confronting the girl and then calling out the mom? Or did it go too far once the parenting comments started? How would you handle someone just sitting on equipment you need at the gym? Let me know your verdict in the comments, and if you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Imagine working part-time for years, barely spending anything, finally building up a little safety net. And then your own parent sees the number in your account and demands half of it. Is that helping your family, or is that crossing a line? Am I the asshole for refusing to give my mom my savings after she found out how much I have? I'm 19, I'm in college, and I still live at home. I've been working part-time since I was 16, and I'm really strict about saving. I don't go out much, I don't buy expensive stuff, and I've managed to save a decent amount, around $4,000. Last week, my mom asked me to log into my banking app to transfer money for groceries because her card wasn't working. While I was doing that, she saw my total savings. She went quiet. And later that night, she told me that since I'm living under her roof, I should be contributing more, and that it's selfish of me to hoard money while she's struggling. She asked me to give her $2,000 to help the family, and said I could always earn it back. The thing is, she's not unemployed or anything. She works full-time. We're not rich, but we're not in some kind of crisis either. I already pay for my own school stuff, my phone bill, and sometimes groceries. I was saving that money in case I move out or for emergencies. When I said I wasn't comfortable giving that much, she called me ungrateful and said I'm acting like a tenant instead of a daughter. Now my relatives are saying I should help because family helps family. But I feel like she only wants it because she saw how much I had. Am I the asshole for refusing to give her half my savings? Top commenters were very clear. They said you shouldn't give her any of that money. A lot of people warned that once you hand over cash like this, it often stops being a one-time favor and turns into an expectation. Family will just keep coming back to that well over and over. Several people pointed out that $4,000 really isn't a huge amount, especially for a college student. To them, it's a modest emergency fund or a starting point for moving out, not some massive stash you're hoarding. Their advice was to protect that savings, keep working, and focus on getting yourself into a position where you can eventually move out and be fully independent. Another big theme was about what parents owe their kids while they're in school. One commenter said it was strange to see people insisting you should be paying rent already. In their experience, parents are supposed to support their children through education and set them up for a better future, not drain their limited savings. They mentioned that where they live, it's even assumed by the government that parents will contribute financially as long as the child is genuinely studying and not just slacking off, and that this is factored into student loans and grants. Overall, the comment section leaned heavily toward the idea that you're already being responsible and that your savings are for your future, not a pool for your mom to dip into just because she now knows it exists. So what do you think? Does family helps family mean a college kid should hand over half their hard-earned savings? Or is that crossing a boundary? If you were in this situation, would you give the money, set conditions, or refuse outright? Let me know your take in the comments below.